Hello to everyone out there. I hope each and everyone is doing great. Welcome back to our channel, Tutoring Made Easy. And the goal of this channel is to take each and every one of us to a math journey. And the goal of that journey is to make math easy and enjoyable. Please, if it is your first time coming in contact with our channel, as a family, if you've also been watching our videos but you do not have the opportunity or the right time to subscribe to our channel, please do us a favor by subscribing to our channel, liking this video and sharing to as many people as possible. This will help us collectively to grow this channel as a family, and so that we can all embark on this journey in making math easy and enjoyable. Last time we looked at Surds. And specifically we looked at how we can add and subtract Surds. We mentioned the last time that it was propounded by the Geraldo of Cremona in the year 1150. The Geraldo of Cremona in the year in 1150. That's when it was propounded, and we said that surds fall under the category of irrational numbers. They are irrational numbers, irrational numbers such as pi, theta, square root of numbers. Those are irrational numbers. But today we want to focus on multiplication and most likely the division of surds. Now, one rule. Let's look at the multiplication. We said the multiplication, right? So the multiplication of surds. There's a rule. If you have, let's say, if we have the square root of a multiplying the square root of another a, what it means is that just see it as a. Just see it as a. How do we know that? We know that square root of a is the same as a to the power of half multiplied by another a to the power of half. Anytime you see the square root, the exponent is half. And then we can add it, because from indices, if you remember, from the indices that we did, we said that if the bases are the same, in this case, a is the same as a, and then the sign in the middle is multiplication, then we are going to add the exponent. So we're going to get a to the power half plus half, and we're going to get a equals to 1, and then that gives us a. All right, so that's where we are getting that magic result from. That square root of a times square root of a is a. So an example, if you and I are presented with a question like square root of 5 times 5, square root of 5, you don't need to work anything. It's just 5. It's just a number without the square root. It's just 5. And then we go our way. But what if it's different? What if we are looking at a different scenario altogether? Let's say we have square root of a multiplying square root of b. What do? We will just have the a multiply the b into one square root. So we're going to get a times b, which is square root of ab. So if they are not the same, that's what we do. So let's take an example. Let's say you have square root of 2. Let's say you have square root of 2 multiplying maybe the square root of 3. They're not the same, so it's going to be square root of 2 times 3, and that gives us square root of 6. However, if it was just square root of 2 times square root of 2, we know it's just 2. If it's square root of 3 times square root of 3, we know it's just what? 3. So let's keep that in mind when it comes to multiplication of surds. If the same variables are multiplying, the same surds variable multiplying, just the variable inside. But if they are different, we multiply the variables that are inside and put it under the square root sign. So let's take more examples. Let's take more examples. Let's say we have p square root of r times q square root of, let's say, m. We're saying that we're going to have what? We can multiply, in this case, we can multiply this and this. We're going to get p times q in parentheses, and then we drew the square root to multiply the r times the m. And that gives us pq square root of rm. On the other hand, if we have p again, square root of r multiplying q square root of r, remember it's going to be p times q in parentheses. But remember that the square root of r times the square root of r is just r. If you remember, the square root of r, the square root of r is just r because they're the same. And then we get p times q times r, which is pqr. Please, I hope that clarifies things. So let's take an example. Let's say we are being presented with this problem. Let's say we have, let's say 2 square root of 5 multiplied by 3 square root of let's say 3. We say that we will multiply the 2 by the 3. This 2 will multiply this 3 into parentheses. And then in the square root, we are going to have 5 times 3. Why? Because this square root is there from that. So we multiply it inside, and we're going to get 6 here. We're going to get square root of what? 15. So it gives us 6 square root of what? 15. On the other hand, if we are being given, let's say 2 square root of 5 multiplying 3 square root of 5, we're going to have 2 multiply the 3 in parentheses, and then we are just going to have 5 because the square root of 5, square root of 5, they are the same, and we just leave it as it. So we're going to get 2 times 3 times what? 5. We're going to get 6 times 5, and that gives us 30. That gives us 30. So that's the multiplication of surds. Let's now look at how we're going to treat the division. The division of surds. The division of surds. How does that work? Division of surds. How does that work? Division of surds. Now imagine that we have something like the square root. We have a square root of b divided by c square root of d. That's a division right there. What do? We will do what we call rationalization. There's something called the rationalization of surds. The rationalization. We rationalize the denominator. So rationalization of surds. And what that means is that we what? We rationalize the denominator. We rationalize the denominator. The denominator. In this case, our denominator is CD. So we are going to have a square root of b divided by c square root of d. And what we do is that we multiply it by what? A square root of b divided by c square root of d. We multiply by the denominator, c square root of d. Whatever is in the denominator will be multiplied, divided by c square root of d. C square root of d. And then the multiplication will kick in from there. What it means is that we are going to have the top. The top part is going to be a square root of b multiplied by c square root of d. That's the numerator. Now, don't forget, these are fractions. Don't forget, this is a fraction. That's a fraction. So we are multiplying the numerators together. A square root of b multiplied by c square root of d. And then the denominator, we also multiply the denominators together, which is c square root of d multiplied by c square root of d. Now, the multiplication tells us that the rules in multiplication says that we multiply the a times the c. This and this will go into one parenthesis, and then the square root will take the b times the d, and then we divide it also by this c, and this c would multiply, and we're not going to bring in a square root because you know why? Because the square root of d and square root of d are the same, so we just introduce the d. We are going to have the top part is going to be AC square root of BD divided by C squared D. Why C squared? Remember, C times C indices. The index is 1 here and 1 here. And the bases are the same. And the sign is multiplication. So we're going to have C and add in the exponent 1 plus 1. And we get C squared. That's how come we're getting C squared times D. So I hope this helps. I hope this is helping. Now let's look at more examples. So let's say you and I we are being presented with a square root of b minus c square root of d divided by m square root of n plus p square root of r. We're saying that we will rationalize the denominator. We rationalize the denominator. And in this case, our denominator is this. This is our denominator. So how do we rationalize? We're going to have a square root of b minus c square root of d divided by m square root of n plus p square root of r. And we're going to multiply that by the denominator. But when we do that, the sign changes. So we're going to have m square root of n minus, this sign changes. We are rationalizing it, so it changes to p square root of r divided by m square root of n, yes, minus p square root of r. I hope it's getting clear so far. If it's not getting clear, I want you to pause the video, go back a little bit, and everything will be fine. It's the same question. This whole thing that we've written here, this whole thing is a question right here. But we are rationalizing the denominator by multiplying it by the denominator and changing the sign from positive to what? Negative. We change from positive to negative. That's what we have done. And then the multiplication rules will kick in. So we have a square root of b. Why multiplication will kick in? Because we multiply. If you look at it here, well, we are multiplying. This is the multiplication sign. So it's going to get a square root of b minus c square root of d, right? Being multiplied by m square root of n minus p square root of r, like this. And then we divide it by m square root of n plus p square root of r multiplied by m square root of n minus p square root of r, like this. I hope it's getting fun a little bit. Now, do you remember, I'm drawing your mind to something. Do you remember when you have a minus b multiplying c minus d? What we do usually is to multiply this a. We're expanding it. We're multiplying this a by c. So you get ac. And then you still multiply the same a by this negative d. It gives us minus ad. And then the next thing is to multiply this b, this negative b by c. Negative b is negative b by c. And you're going to get minus b. And then the same negative b by negative d. And it's going to give us plus d because we are multiplying negative and negative. If you remember this, we're going to use the same rules here. We're going to use the same rules here. So we take this one here. We multiply with this. All right. So basically, we multiply by this and then we multiply by that. And when we are done, we multiply this two by this and multiply by that. So let's take the first one. I'm going to wipe that on top there. I'm going to multiply by the top there. Okay. And then we're going to have, so we're going to have a square root of b, this one, multiplying this is going to multiply m square root of n into one bracket. Then the same a square root of b will multiply negative b. So we're going to have, we're going to have plus. We're going to have plus a square root of b multiplied by negative p square root of r, like this at the top. And then we continue. We continue and wipe this away. And then we continue. We're also going to have this negative c. We're going to have this negative c is going to multiply the m square root of n. So we're going to have plus into parentheses negative c square root of d multiplying m square root of n. Then we add again. We're going to have negative c multiplying by negative p square root of r. So negative c square root of d will multiply negative p square root of r, like that. And then I think we have completed the top part of what we are doing. And then we're going to have the division sign come all the way. And then we're going to start with maybe the color blue. Now we're going to do the same thing here. So at the bottom, do you remember, just to make it a shortcut for you guys, I don't know whether you remember something called the difference. There's something called the difference of two squares. The difference of two squares. It says that if you have a plus b multiplying a minus b, because the sign here is different from this sign, but the a is the same as the a here is there and it's over here. The b is also here. But what is different between these two, between this and this, is the sign in the middle. Here it is addition and here it's subtraction. The rule says that just take the square of the a minus the square of b. That's what the rule says. Now, if you look carefully, if we look closely, you'll see that this is the same as this, and this is also the same as that. But the sign in the middle is positive, and then the sign that's negative. So we are just going to square the a. So the a there is our m square root of n, and then the b there is our p square root of r. Do you get it? So we are going to have it below, we're going to have a squared, which is m square root of n all squared. And then what is the rule? Minus. It says a squared minus b squared. So minus, what is the b? The b there is the pqr. P square root of r. Remember, this is a minus. The b is p square root of r all squared. That's a p. That's our b right there. And that simplifies things a little bit. We don't have to do another expansion at the bottom, because the difference between the bottom is the signs. Is the sign. Pause the video, go back a little bit, and everything will make perfect sense. Now, at the numerator, from the numerator, we're going back to the numerator. We are going to get am. You can see this and this will multiply. Again, am square root of what? This and this will multiply. Square root of bn plus, we have our plus sign there. Plus, we're going to get this and this is going to multiply. We're going to get minus. We're going to get minus ap square root of b and r, which is br. We're going to get another plus. We're going to get this multiplied by this, which is negative cm square root of d times n, which is dn. We get another plus. This negative c multiplied by this negative p gives us positive cp, and then the square root of dr. Why? Because d times r will multiply. And then we're going to get divided by m squared. Remember, if we have ab all squared, we said it's the same as a squared b squared. Remember from our indices video. So don't forget, we're going to apply it here. We're going to get m squared in the denominator. We're going to get m squared square root of n, also what? Squared. Minus, we're going to get p squared square root of r, also what? Squared. And then everything becomes smooth. Everything becomes smooth. Now, let's continue. At the numerator, we can have am. You know, the plus and the minus will just become minus. We're not multiplying, we are adding. When you add positive and negative, you're going to get negative. So minus ap square root of br minus this and this and this will give you minus cm square root of dn plus what? Cp, right? Plus cp. So let me write again. I think I'm going overboard. So let me take my time. Be patient with me. So we're gonna have am square root of bn minus ap square root of br minus minus cm square root of dn plus cp square root of dr, and we are going to divide that. We're going to divide everything by what is down there. What is going on down there? We're going to find out. What's going on down there is that we're having m squared, and now we know square root of n squared is just n. Why? Because square root of n is n to the power half. Multiply by that 2. So this 2 will cancel and get n to the power 1. So we're going to get n minus p squared, and then we're also going to get what? R. We're going to get r because we know that square root of r squared is the same as r to the power half multiplied by 2, and then you get r. So that's where our final answer, that's where we get to with our final answer. I hope this helps. I'm going to put in real numbers. We're going to put using real numbers to make life a bit, easy and comfortable. I know many of you don't like letters. I hope you don't like letters. So let's see whether this is going to help us. Let's say we have 2 square root of, let's say 3, minus, let's say, another 2 square root of 2, divided, we're dividing that by, let's say 3 square root of 2, 3 square root of 2, plus 2 square root of, let's say 2. In this case, 2 square root of 2. Now we're going to rationalize the denominator. That's the whole goal. We rationalize the denominator. We rationalize the denominator. And in this case, our denominator is the one on the bottom right here. It's our denominator. So we always introduce what? The equal to sign. Don't forget, when you have a problem that you're solving and there's no equal to sign in there, we always start with the equal to sign. So we're going to have 2 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 2 divided by 3 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 2, and we multiply that by the denominator and change the sign. So 3, sorry. So we're going to have 3, we're going to have, be patient with me. We're going to have 3 square root of 2 minus, we change the sign to minus, and we have 2 square root of 2 divided by 3 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 2. Now we're going to start the multiplication, right? We're going to start our multiplication. We said that we're going to have this 2. We said we're going to have 2. Oh man, sorry. We said we're going to have this 2 square root of 3 minus 2 square root. Oh, I don't know why. Minus 2 square root of 2 multiplied by 3 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 2 divided by 3 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 2 multiplying 3 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 2. And then we are going to use the expansion way. We're going to take this and multiply by that, and we are going to get this 2 multiplied by this. We are going to get 6. And then this, the square root of 3 and the square root of 2 is going to give us square root of 6. And we're also going to multiply this by that. We're going to get this 2 multiplied by this 2 is going to give us negative 4. Why? Because it's negative 2 multiplied by this 2, negative 4. And then the square root of 3 multiplied by that gives us what? Square root of 6. Are you there? Now we're going to do the second part, which is also taking this one here and multiplying by that. So the negative 2 multiplied by 3 will give us negative 6. And then the 2 times the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root is just 2. Remember that. If they are the same, it's just a number in there. We're also going to multiply by this one here, and it's going to give us the negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. And then the 2 square root of 2 times square root of 2 gives us what? It gives us 2. And then we are done for the top. Now we're coming back to the bottom. And we did say that, we did mention that with the bottom, if this is the same as that, and this is also the same as that, it's always going to be like that. The sign here is what is differentiating between them. So we take the square of the A minus the square of the B. Now, what is our square? What is the square of our A? This is our A. And this is our B. So square of A is 3 square root of 2 squared minus our B squared, which is 2 square root of 2. And then we are going to have the top part. We are going to have 6, this one. It will be 6 minus 4. And then it will be square root of what? 6. We attach it because we are subtracting. We are not multiplying. Don't forget. We're not multiplying. If we are multiplying, then it will be just 6. By square root of 6, because we are subtracting. And then we are going to get minus 12 plus 8. This gives us minus 12. And this gives us plus 8. And we divide that by 3 squared. Don't forget, if you have AB all squared, it is the same as A squared, B squared. So you have 3 squared into 3 into square root of 2 squared minus 2 squared, right? Minus 2 squared into square root of 2 also what? Squared. So let me wipe this one quickly, and then we come to the final stages of things. So now we are going to have the 6 minus 4. It gives us 2. 2 square root of 6 minus 4. Why minus 4? Because we are owing 12 and you paid 8. So you still owe. That's why it's minus 4. And then we divide it by this squared is 9. And then this squared is just 2. It's just 2 because you have square root of 2 times square root of 2. And we say just 2. Remember, it's 2 to the power half multiplied by 2 to the power half. And then you are going to get 2 to the power half plus half. And then you get 2 to the power 1, which is 2. So that's where the magic is coming in from. Minus this 2 squared is 4. And this also gives us what? 2. Now we can be able to simplify things here by saying it's equal to 2 square root of 6 at the numerator minus 4 divided by this. 9 times 2 is 18. And then negative 4 times 2 is minus 8. So we're going to get 2 square root of 6 minus 4 over what? 10. We are getting 2 square root of 6 over 10 minus 4 over 10. I hope you know where that is coming from, though. When we are dividing something by, let's say you have A plus B to the power of 2 divided by 2 is the same as A over 2 plus B over 2, and that's what we just did here. this divided by this means that 2 square root of 6 divided by 10 minus 4 divided by 10, and then we are going to get 2 square root of 6 divided by 10, which is this goes here 1, it goes here 5, and then this minus 4 over 10, you get 2 goes here 2, it goes here what 5. So we are going to have it simplified as 1 over 5 square root of 6 minus 2 divided by 5, minus 2 divided by 5, and that's our final answer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your first time coming in contact with our channel, Tutoring Made Easy, or you've been watching our videos but you haven't had the time, the opportunity to do so, please stop everything, please, so that you can subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it to as many people as possible. Also, feel free to drop in the comment section below. Maybe you have a specific math topic that you want us to treat it with urgency for you. We are more than willing to do that. All right, until I come to you another time, take care and bye.